I remember when the Fae first came out, and she wasn't all that impressive. Wasn't too terribly meta until all of a sudden in Monolith, she was completely nuts. I've chosen to make her into a fairly niche hero, as all heroes I feel need to be, but definitely, hopefully, not make her so incredibly powerful. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Hero Rework idea video. I am Sylphin. So, a few things right off the bat. One, this is simply my own personal idea and does not represent what Unleashed Games is doing in their project in any way. It has nothing to do with their project whatsoever. Two, hero passives are coming back. Hero passives are coming back, and we have to extract that passive out of their kit or make one up. Try to get that to fit, you know, their identity and their purpose. Three, I like quest mechanics that I'm kind of calling the Paragon mechanic, where it's basically a quest system. Every time you use an ability or two or three or however, when you meet the quest's criteria, your abilities become empowered. One ability becomes empowered. Something unique happens that enables you to do your purpose and fulfill your role better. You're able to do it stronger and better. Basically rewarding you for doing what your purpose is and playing well. Now, four, I think that hero design requires strong emphasis of gameplay niches and gameplay roles. If you don't have this, then heroes kind of have no real there's no real reason to play them. There's no real reason to pick one over the other. There's no real difference, and that is very, very important to have a healthy roster. So what is that for the Fae? What is that for her? Well, with all of the other casters that I've kind of given my own personal ideas for so far, she can fit this long-range harass teamfight fighter caster very well. She's not a mage, she's not a burst mage, she doesn't blow people up, she can fill this long-range harass and then teamfight, because of her fantastic ultimate, caster very, very well. So we're going to emphasize that sort of a gameplay, that sort of purpose in this kit. Now, her passive. The Fae extends her next basic attack range within 1.5 seconds of casting an ability by 200, 300, 400, 500 units. This basic attack provides mana regen when dealing damage, and hitting enemy heroes gives more mana regen. Essentially, you're going to, whenever you cast an ability, have an extended basic attack that you can throw out a little bit farther than normal and harass enemies from afar. The intent behind the numbers, and remember, forget all the numbers, just try to grasp the intent behind the ability and the numbers. The intent behind it is that while you won't be able to land your basic attack at full Harvest Nettle range, you will be able to land your basic attack somewhere in the middle between your normal range basic attack and way far out of your influence area. So you can stay back and harass enemy heroes with your abilities, because you have a lot of abilities and a Harvest Nettle that's on a relatively low cooldown. That means that there's that gameplay loop: ability into a basic attack, ability into a basic attack, and you're very aim focused in your harass and long range. So the stats are going to be very, very important for the Fae, as I've put up there. Very squishy because she has so much influence and slow and especially her ultimate. because she has so much, she has to be very squishy and lower damage on the growth, her AoE explosion plus Harvest Nettles, especially relative to version 44. Her Harvest Nettles is going to be consistent damage, but doesn't necessarily scale too well. It's just gonna, it needs to just be consistent, reliable damage, not necessarily scaling monstrously into the late game. It's just poke damage. That is all. So the stats are very important for that. So there's the passive. Now, her Bramble Patch. 1100 unit long line of thorny brambles, 200 units wide that deals damage and applies a 50, 55, 60, 65% slow for 0.5 seconds. That slow is very, very important, and it's very strong. Sorry, it should be refreshing every 0.5 seconds, lasting for 1.5 to 2 seconds. So it lasts a little bit long as you touch the Bramble Patch. 10-second cooldown, a little longer than before. Great ability, consistent ability, doesn't need to change too much. And you can, you know, where you just saw there, as long as you angle the line to cover the whole lane, or the whole jungle path there, you can, there's skill potential in there for sure to make it much more consistent too. Now, Harvest Nettles, there's a few changes with this. Long range projectile, 2200 units, that deals damage and refunds mana cost if hitting enemy heroes. Same so far. Consecutive hits within 12 seconds do 15% more damage, stacking to 60%, just like it used to. 4-second cooldown. A little bit longer. It used to be 3 seconds. This is 4 seconds. After hitting 35 enemy heroes somewhere in the mid game, consecutive hits now also reduce the next Harvest Nettle cooldown by 0.4 seconds, stacking to 1.6. So the total cooldown at that point is now 2.4. Now, that's really good, but that's only on consecutive hits. If you miss, well, then it's gone. You don't get that value. So very high skill here. You have to land the ability consistently all the time to get that damage, to get that quest, to get the damage increase, to get the, you know, to get the basic attack range, stuff like that. Very, very, very cool. I like it. It enhances her long range harass mechanic. Plus, in the late game, you know, it's gonna be important that you're dealing more damage, and that increases the DPS output, which is important at that point too. Very cool quest that I think would be very satisfying for a lot of the Fae players. Untamed growth, pretty much the same. The Fae plants a small flower up to 1800 units away, dealing AoE damage in a 250 unit radius over 3 seconds. 50% damage dealt over the duration, while the next 50% is dealt as it blows up. 10-second cooldown. It's great. Great consistent ability that synergizes with her Harvest Nettles, with her Bramble Patch, pardon me, very well, and with the rest of her team as well, plus her own ultimate, which, Fly Trap. The Fae plants a trap at a target location up to 300 units away that grabs enemy units within a 650 unit radius with its vines, pulling them to the center after a 1.25 second delay. It works much more like you see here, instead of what it was in Legacy, where it pulled instantaneously, not giving people basically any time, really, to cleanse, right? And I think that is very much needed. It was too crazy, especially with the stun. It was much too reliable. It gave way less time for enemy heroes to react. I mean, even if it was 1 second, that is much better than the 0.3 it used to be on Monolith. So even if it's 0.75, 0.8, 0.9, something like that, as long as it's actually within a human's reflex, reflex time, instead of 0.3, like, much, much better. Dealing damage and slowing them by 20, 30, 40% for 1.5 seconds. 110, 95, 80 second cooldown. Not like a 60 second cooldown, but not a 100-second cooldown, somewhere in between, as it is an important part of why you pick the Fae to begin with and synergize with the rest of her team. What do you guys think about the Fae like this? Very squishy, lower damage scaling on her Harvest Nettles especially. Bring that down to consistent damage level. Growth is probably fine, but just very, very squishy. Very low health scaling, very low armor scaling. She's very squishy, but if you can land abilities, if you can land that Harvest Nettles, land those basic attacks, it's definitely gonna be very, very rewarding. What do you guys think about this idea, my own personal idea for the Fae? Let me know down in the comment section below. Please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share with the community, guys. Of course, subscribe. Hit that bell notification icon to be notified of new content that comes out, and let me know down in the comments what you guys want to see. Till next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.